building bridges and investing in change for Commonwealth, tackling interlocking global crisis. Now, as the backbone is, the recession caused by the global financial crisis slowly are managed at different speeds in different Commonwealth settings. Countries were left differently equipped to handle the next wave of challenges appearing over the horizon. Now, some emerged from recession or slowdown with unemployment and other social indicators returning rapidly to normal and with macroeconomic indicators in a healthy state. With fundamental changes taking place in the global trade landscape, and the Commonwealth, with its diverse membership, is coming to terms with these changes. This shifting landscape offers challenges and opportunities for Commonwealth countries to expand their trade both between members and their overall trade. And to accelerate the idea, the Commonwealth Secretary General attended the Non-Aligned Movement and Heads of State Summit as a special guest. And this morning, she is also a special guest on the show. Right Honourable Patricia Scotland, Secretary General to the Commonwealth, you're most welcome. Now, we want to hear from you, your stay in Kampala. This is the second time you are coming to Kampala, Uganda. Could you give us an experience of what that has been like?
Well, I think that I've seen an extraordinary difference. Uganda is still as beautiful as it has always been. It's green and it's lush. But what I've noticed is that the improvement in the roads and the buildings, so for example, the Commonwealth resort where the NAM was held was the same resort that we came to, the Commonwealth member states came to in 2007 when Uganda held the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. And we came again, I came as Secretary General for the Commonwealth Youth Ministers meeting that was held in the same resort. And to see the beauty of the new centre, which can now host, I should imagine, almost any international conference, was remarkable. And it was an excellent conference. You'll know that 44 of the Commonwealth member states, which of course includes Uganda, are members of the non-aligned movement. And the non-aligned movement's never been more important than it is today. So the fact that Uganda is going to lead the non-aligned movement as the chair for the next 3 years is not only worthy of huge congratulations to President Museveni, but also is a testament to the people of Uganda.
Now, drawing from the binding principles, including respect for sovereignty, equality, and territorial integrity of all states, rejection of the possibility of an unconstitutional change of government, etc., birthing the non-aligned movement. Draw for us the link between the Commonwealth and the non-aligned movement, and what do they have collectively?
Well, in fact, both of them are based on the respect for the rule of law, democracy, freedom, integrity, sovereignty. All of these fundamental values and principles are shared. The Commonwealth has inculcated those values into the Commonwealth Charter, and clauses 1 to 16 of the Commonwealth Charter reflect the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, which were agreed by the global community in 2015. But the Commonwealth had come up with those same principles, mirroring the SDGs 2 years earlier in 2013. And our members are therefore totally committed to the values, to the principles, to the ethics, to the hopes, to the aspirations, which are also reflected in NAM. And you'll know that the Commonwealth is now 75 years old. So the Commonwealth was there, fighting for freedom for those who were oppressed by apartheid in southern Africa. The Commonwealth was there when we raised the issue of racism. The Commonwealth was there in Langkawi in 1989 when they first pointed out to the whole world that climate change posed an existential threat. And if we didn't do something about it, this would be absolutely devastating, particularly for the small, vulnerable, and developing countries in the South, because what we have seen is that the acts and omissions that were created by others have had a deleterious impact on us all. If you look at what's happening in terms of drought and floods and hurricanes and cyclones, most of that is happening in the global South. So these principles of freedom, of integrity are there, but also at the heart of what we all aspire is prosperity. Prosperity for all our countries, for all our people. And in the Commonwealth, we have been working hard on that. We now have intra-Commonwealth trade at the highest level it has been in history. We've got more than $721 billion of intra-Commonwealth trade. We believe that we will be able to push that to 1 trillion by 2026 and 2 trillion by 2030. And we know that trade is a huge way to enhance prosperity and wealth for all of us. But we need green trade and we need blue trade, which will be compatible with the environmental challenges. And if you listen to what all the members said at NAM, we were in agreement that this opportunity there is, particularly for Africa, is huge for investment, for trade in goods and services and development. And you've seen that development right here in Uganda. Just look at the wonderful products that are being produced in terms of the cars and the buses, which in the past used to be imported and are now being made right here in Uganda.
At this visit, Madam Secretary General, we do understand you were to consult with leaders from Commonwealth countries. You were to seek their perspectives on economic and environmental challenges, as well as collaborating on strategies to deliver more tailored assistance. What were the pickouts from the consultations, and do they actually align in priority with development sought after?
Yes, they do. And there was a lot of discussion and, in fact, agreement that the fiscal position of the countries, all of us, demand that we change the structures of the financial system that currently operates, because we created the Bretton Woods, we created a system which was absolutely fit for 1945 and post-1945, but things have really changed. The vulnerabilities to which we are all subject are very different from those in 1945. In the past, people said if you showed fiscal rectitude, if you managed your economy well, your GDP would go up, and that if you did not, then there were consequences which were within your hands. We know that's not any longer the case. When you are faced with a drought, when you are faced with a flood, when you're faced with a cyclone, when you're faced with a hurricane, which destroys your economy, as in fact it did in my own country of birth, Dominica, when we were struck by Hurricane Maria. Hurricane Maria destroyed more than, 200% of our GDP. Now, there's nothing you can do when that happens to you. And it isn't something that you created, but it's something you suffer. And what we've seen is many of our countries are in a vicious cycle because they have to enter into debt in order to build back that which was taken away. And they can't get a loan at appropriate levels. So they're paying 3-5 times the amount that anyone else would pay. So we have said this is fundamentally unfair and that the structure has to change. And that was a very clear message coming from many, many of the members of NAM, which is something that the Commonwealth has been raising strongly, because we are saying that we need now a universal vulnerability index, which takes into account these exogenous shocks to which we've all been subject in the last 10 years and which we have no control over it individually as countries, because it's a global phenomena which is affecting all of us.
Could you brief our audience on the preparations for the Commonwealth Heads of State meeting that is scheduled for October this very year in Samoa?
Yes, it's going to take place on the 20th, the week commencing the 20th of October in Samoa. We are planning because one of the real issues for us is we have to leave no one behind. We're living in this new digitalized world, and we have to have a common future. And that common future has to be for all of us. So we'll be looking at the issues on economic growth, digitalization, youth, women, issues in relation to trade and the economy and climate, and all those opportunities for us to enhance our solidarity so that we will be able to be the difference we need to make. You saw what happened in Kigali in 2022. The Commonwealth leaders were the first to demand that we should have a fund for loss and damage. And as a result, after 27 years, we went to Sharm el-Sheikh, to the COP27, and the whole of our Commonwealth pushed. But I know that those who are members of the non-aligned movement pushed with us. And the world in 2022 agreed that there should be a fund for loss and damage, and that loss and damage fund, last year in 2023 in Dubai, we got a global agreement that the countries would fund it. Now we have to push again because it's not enough for people to pledge, they really have to pay. And so that push, I know, will be entered into strongly by the non-aligned movement, but it absolutely is a commitment made by all our Commonwealth countries, and we are determined that those developing countries, those small island developing states, those vulnerable countries who are suffering the most in relation to climate change should not be left behind. And I mentioned in my remarks Vanuatu, who is both in the Pacific, both a member of NAM and a member of the Commonwealth, and they have suffered 3 cyclones, one after the other, the first taking away more than 50% of their GDP collectively, and now they think it's going to cost 80% of their GDP to recover from what they've suffered. And this is happening today, and many of our countries are fearful that they won't even see tomorrow. But they're all fighting, and we're fighting with them, and we won't give up, and we have to win.
Madam General Secretary, you did mention the word pledge, and it begs the final question. What is the pledge of the Commonwealth and in your position as Secretary General in the year 2024?
So the pledge in relation to money that has been made is, we think, insufficient. We know that in order to get to where we need to be globally on climate change, we have to have about $4 trillion by 2030. We haven't had those pledges yet, and we need more. But the Commonwealth is doing all it can to assist our member states to get the money they need to adapt and to mitigate the damage. We've created a climate finance access hub, and with a relatively small amount of money of 7.8 million, we have already delivered into the hands of our member states $322 million, and we've got $500 million in the pipeline. We would love to do more. We would love to place a climate finance advisor in every single country who would like it in the Commonwealth. And indeed, we are ready and willing to place a Commonwealth climate finance advisor in Uganda to help Uganda take advantage of the opportunities that are there. We've just successfully placed a climate finance advisor for Southern Africa in South Africa, and have successfully, just within 1 year, succeeded into getting $64 million for 5 of the SADC countries who are committed to working on the difficult issue of water. So there is a lot for us to do. And I think if we work in solidarity with each other, all of us, all the NAM members, 44 of whom are Commonwealth members, we will be able to achieve a lot.
All right, that brings us to the end of our Tech Note this morning. I trust that it's been value addition, expanding our boundaries and interacting with the geopolitics of the entire globe. We do have the G77 plus China summit that is also underway as we speak, and hopefully we'll also be giving you an insight, some interactions with the delegates in this very same week.